All right, Mr. Robinson, based on the verdict of the jury finding you guilty of the offense charged in the indictment in case number 2020 CF 3601, the court does hereby remand you to the custody of the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, and your bond in this matter shall be revoked. Keep in mind, Monday would be a to-be-set date, and we would set the sentencing on a convenient day that week for all parties involved.
What does it take for a man to look a judge in the eye and send his own son to prison for life? How does music become so real that the lyrics turn into a murder charge and a hit song becomes evidence? This isn't just a story about rap. It's a story about a city at war, a sound that became the soundtrack to the violence, and a rapper who documented his own downfall, note for note. Before the conviction, there was a sound, a raw, unfiltered voice that put his entire city on notice. Before his father took the stand and the gavel came down, this is the story of the music that laid it all out. This is the story of Ksoo. Section 1, The Sound of Jacksonville. To understand the music of Hakeem Ksoo Robinson, you have to understand Jacksonville, Florida. For a long time, Florida rap meant Miami and Broward County, with kingpins like Rick Ross and Kodak Black running the scene. But while the spotlight was on the South, a different, more violent sound was brewing up north. In Jacksonville, also known as Duval County, the rap scene wasn't about luxury, it was about survival. It was a sound born from brutal neighborhood beefs, poverty, and a rising body count. The music that bled out of this environment was drill, a subgenre born in Chicago. It found a new, more ferocious home in Jacksonville. Drill is defined by its menacing beats and hyper-specific graphic lyrics that detail street life with the honesty of a war reporter. Jacksonville rappers weren't just telling stories, they were broadcasting active conflicts. Neighborhood rivalries and personal losses weren't whispered about. They were put on blast for the world to hear. This was Ksoo's world, a place where rap was the only news that mattered, reporting live from the front line. Hakeem Robinson didn't just grow up in this world. He was a product of its deepest conflicts. Music was his path from the very beginning. He studied the artists who built the blueprint for what he would become. Guys like Gucci Mane and Chief Keef, who built their careers on raw authenticity. But Ksoo wasn't just a copycat. He was a natural. He started making a name for himself in the city, known for his explosive energy and a flow that felt less written and more lived. His real breakthrough happened on YouTube, where his tracks blew up, pulling in millions of views from a fan base that craved his brutal honesty. He never dropped a major label out, but his 2020 mixtape, Violent Child Ash, cemented him as a major force in Florida rap, proving he could mix raw, gritty beats with the real-life narratives that defined him. Ksoo's music was never just entertainment, it was a live stream of his life on the streets. His lyrics were a manual to the rules of his world, the importance of loyalty, the expectation of retaliation, and the daily grind of survival. Songs like Back to Back didn't just have catchy hooks, they were chillingly detailed accounts of the city's street wars. In Jacksonville drill, the music wasn't an escape from the violence, it was part of the violence. The line between being an artist and being a target was getting thinner by the day. His lyrics often read like a script for future crimes, spelling out his beef with rival gangs like 6 Block. As a member of the crew known as ATK, his music became a weapon in the disputes tearing the city apart. In the words of State Attorney Melissa Nelson, he stalked and gunned down a rival because of disputes and drill rap. His art was a mirror to his life, reflecting a cycle of violence that was both his greatest muse and, in the end, his undoing. The very thing that made Ksoo's music so powerful, its undeniable realness, is exactly what destroyed him. The stories weren't just stories. In January 2020, a rival rapper named Charles McCormick, also known as Lil Buck, was shot and killed. Prosecutors argued the motive was a direct result of the gang beef Ksoo documented in his music. His own social media posts and lyrics were presented in court as a confession. But the final act of this tragedy wasn't a diss track, it was a testimony. In a move that shocked everyone, Ksoo's own father, Abdul Robinson Sr., took the stand against him, identifying his son in surveillance footage related to the murder. On July 31st, 2024, a jury found Hakeem Ksoo Robinson guilty of first-degree murder. In Florida, that conviction comes with a mandatory sentence of life in prison. The voice that gave sound to the violence was officially silenced by it. The artist and the evidence had become one and the same. The headlines about Ksoo now are all about the trial, the life sentence, and a father's betrayal. But before the silence, there was an undeniable talent. Ksoo's music is a brutal, unfiltered archive of a specific time and place. He captured the sound of his world and gave a voice to a generation trying to navigate it. He left a permanent scar on the Florida rap scene with a style that was as real as it was ruthless. The man is locked away, but the music is still here. A complex legacy of raw talent and devastating tragedy, and a permanent reminder of how thin the line between art and life can be. If you want to understand the stories behind the music, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this.